Okay, we'll move on to our second speaker and try to connect with him in the background. Our second registered speaker is Margaret McQuiston. Go ahead, please, Margaret.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon and congratulations to Chair Cornett and Commissioner Walcott on your new roles. Thank you for this opportunity to update the Commission and our work to improve the relationship between Calgary's Indigenous community and the Calgary Police Service. As you know, my name is Margaret McQuiston and I'm a member of the Calgary Alliance for the Common Good. And I sit on the Truth and Reconciliation Research Action Team. The Calgary Alliance for the Common Good is a nonpartisan and nonprofit alliance of congregations, unions, schools, and community groups representing more than 37,000 Calgarians. Since our last presentation to the Commission at your October meeting, we have had 2 meetings with the CPS. At our November 16th meeting, the CPS outlined to us the rebranding initiatives they are proposing to improve the policing of Calgary's Indigenous community. As Deputy Chief McClellan has already outlined to you, these include a CPS Indigenous Members Circle, an Elders Consultation Circle, an Indigenous Relations Office, which they explained to us would be independent of the other diversity initiatives. And this is where the Indigenous liaison officers would be housed. And finally, the exchange program with officers employed with various Treaty 7 tribal police forces. So we are very supportive of these initiatives, as together they would help build the relationship between the Indigenous community in Calgary and the CPS, which is what we have been advocating for some time now. We commend the CPS for taking these initiatives. To us, they indicate that the CPS is willing to move in a direction that will lead to more positive outcomes. Also at that meeting, CPS told us that if their proposed budget was approved by City Council, they would proceed to hire an Indigenous liaison officer for each of their 8 districts by spring of 2022. We then had a follow-up meeting with the CPS on November 19th, where they answered some of our questions, and we agreed to meet again early in the new year when the outcome of the City Council budget meetings would be known, and the CPS had time to work out next steps, depending on that outcome. In response, the Alliance committed to supporting the CPS budget request, since the hiring of the Indigenous liaison officers was linked to its approval. So to get that support, we reached out to our membership and asked that they encourage their councillors to support the CPS budget. And as we all know, City Council approved the CPS budget last week, so now the work can begin. When we meet with the CPS in January, we will be shifting our work to keeping the CPS accountable for the commitments they have made. To help us do that, we will request a timeline for implementation of these initiatives that were discussed previously, and the process that they will use to hire the Indigenous liaison officers by spring 2022. We will also be paying attention to the organizational structure for the new Indigenous Relations Officer to ensure that it is independent, staffed with senior Indigenous officers, and given the profile and resources that are needed for it to be effective. We would expect that it is consistent with Call to Justice number 9.4 of the National Inquiry into Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls and Two-Spirit, and that it is in line with the thinking of Harold Johnson as outlined in his book, Peace and Good Order, The Case for Indigenous Justice in Canada. So thank you for your time today, and I wish you all the best for a happy holiday season and hopefully a better new year than the last 2. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those comments. Much appreciated. Thank you.